Join channel here over at Subscribestar or the various other links. So your face when you discover that Cleopatra, yeah, she probably actually did look remarkably similar to as she's portrayed in the 63 version. People seem to be confusing. I guess they're not familiar with geography. They think Africa and they just hear that word and they're confusing sub-Saharan versus north. What a great film this was. God, movies were so much fun back in the day. Versus north of that, it's like, yeah, it's the same continent, but I mean, that's not an argument. Like they just this chick, the director, just recently came out with an interview, and it was, oh boy, a bunch of copium and deflection. You can just punch her name in there, and it'll come up. It's just an absurd amount of deflecting away from anything relevant and probative. I was gonna say I'm getting very tired of these people, which might be misconstrued. I was gonna say Hollywood idiots, but I guess really I mean the whole Bolshevik propaganda machine that makes all this possible, because it's only possible through societal pressure, where they will just dox you, destroy your life, get you fired, have the banks cancel your accounts. It's like all this 1984 stuff is all actually happening. It happened pretty quickly, but it's all in place right now. It's all actually happening. So nobody can speak up against any of this kind of stuff because the machinery is in place to destroy your life. It sure would be nice if those representatives did something about that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point of representation. You're not getting represented right now. So Cleopatra meltdown. The usual Hollywood idiots are doing their standard cultural bullshit propaganda, where they swapped out the Greeks and the Egyptians and the Egyptians are not happy about this, for sub-Saharan blacks, which is not historically accurate at all. And no point in her interview does she point to anything backing up her assumption. So the thing is, this is all going to get worse, because if they have the ability to deflect from the core of any discussion by using these cultural Bolshevik manipulation terms like all the istophobic hot words, they never have to engage with the argument, which in this interview, she wrote this thing, or she wrote this article for, I think, for Variety. She never engages with the argument, which I don't think she's capable of anyway. Those Frankfurt School hot words are intended to manipulate. It's the things they do. They go, how dare you criticize a pox wax woman? It's like, part of being treated equally means you would being treated equally. So if you say that, the argument is, how dare you criticize a person of the light, a male European person? How dare you marginalize and oppressed Englishmen? It's like they sound needle on the record. They go, how are they marginalized and oppressed? Oh, well, they feel they are, but they're not. Well, neither are you. Oh, but we feel we are. But you're not. You're not. None of that stuff is real. It's all cultural Bolshevik ways to manipulate people left of the bell curve, and the people who are setting the forces in the motion are definitely not to the left of the bell curve, but the people who are falling for it are. And a lot of people will just use whatever tools are available to them. If it's like looting in cities, if you make it acceptable, it becomes part of the economy. Anyway, so all those Frankfurt School hot words are just intended to force people to abandon any kind of discourse. If you oppose their opinion, then you are istophobic, and then it's acceptable to destroy your life. There's a lot of if-then statements with them, but we really are at that level now where there's just no point. Like, you can't make people go see these movies or buy these comics or whatever kind of woke cancer they're selling. You're not at that point yet, though. I mean, with the digital Federal Reserve notes, they exchange your currency for paper for gold. Yeah, it's 71, I think. And now they're going to exchange the worthless paper, which is after that 71. It's no longer backed by minerals or metals. No. What's it backed by? Oh, absolutely nothing. The full faith and credit. Okay, so now it's going to be digital. It's like, so the government can destroy your life, any kind of wrong thinker, and shut down any kind of protest. And it's like, yeah, it's all actually happening. Anyway, there's no stopping this feedback loop other than using drastic measures, like actually just separating, which I'm sure can be achieved constitutionally or whatever, which is probably going to be the path forward. If anything, this is a great opportunity to go back and watch the 63 version. Hollywood had a Technicolor sweet spot where they made a bunch of great films about this time period. You look at the huge companies who were paying for this. You got to, I mean, the Amazons, the Netflixes, the Warner Brothers, all that kind of stuff. You got to start to wonder what their agenda is because, friends, it's not financial. It is a motive different from monetary because what they're doing is mostly losing money and they're continuing forward on that path where they lose money to push propaganda, which is weird because they're publicly traded companies. Yeah, it's not weird. Their motive is not financial. Their motive is religion. It's akin to religion is what it is. Nature abhors a vacuum, right? So if you kill God, then you're just going to replace him with another belief system. Honestly, it's better to just go back to older belief systems, whether pagan or Christian, because if you just don't have that structure there, something else, parasites will creep in. So they're using movies as propaganda to push bullshit values. The same people who deleted 100 million people. They're doing it all. It's like all those, all the communist atrocities that you never heard of from Hollywood. All you heard about from Hollywood, 99% of the things you heard about from Hollywood are going to be, whatever, the events of World War II. It's like, so, but communism's like an order of magnitude greater than even the totality of World War II. How come it's never talked about? Good question. So they're doing all this all over again. That period of time, it's all repeating, and nobody is stopping them. So this director, who's an idiot, and I looked up her photograph. Every photograph, she looks like an idiot. And at some point, you go, "Oh, well, you can't really judge a book by its cover." Yeah, you kind of can, because if you're in a public sphere, you know how you photograph. You'd probably be careful to try to look less like an idiot. Like, I don't know. Anyway, so she says she saw a film with Elizabeth Taylor in it, and she was certain that Elizabeth Taylor, the actor in a Hollywood movie, was too fair for the role. So her knowledge of the historical event is from a film, and her feelings that actually Cleopatra and crew were sub-Saharan black Africans, based on not reading any books on the history, so based on absolutely nothing at all. Again, she's coming across as mentally deranged, probably because she didn't expect this level of pushback for the film. It's okay to replace European characters if you want to degrade and dehumanize blonde and red-haired, blue and green-eyed people. All you wish, knock yourself out. That's totally acceptable because that's what the puppet masters are pushing. But this here, you got Egyptians got involved, and she probably was not expecting this level of pushback. So she also kind of feels like someone who's been astroturfed into a position that is way, way beyond her, which is how you get a lot of Hollywood idiots, people who didn't work their way up by making stuff that sells. They got there on diversity points, essentially. It's kind of like the affirmative action thing of Hollywood. But as it turns out, they're completely just talentless hacks, as there's no shortage of big budget Hollywood movies to look at, and look at the people involved in them, and then the streaming stuff, and you look at all this garbage, and I mean, like the Budweiser thing. You look at Anheuser-Busch. So she's the first woman to push to be on the Bud Light team. I don't know, director of marketing or whatever. And you look at her like, oh, okay. Maybe that was a mistake. What? How dare you attack a woman? How dare you attack a woman of color, a pox walks furry otherkin? Because I mean that's part of treating her equally. It's like she screwed up pretty bad. She's coming out of college with all this Frankfurt School nonsense in her head, and she tries to do this to a beer company that's just selling beer. It's like all it is this is not the place for it. This is not BuzzFeed. In fact, if I say that off the cuff, it's like you saw what happened to BuzzFeed. Anyway, and to be fair, you saw what happened to Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon. That's another video. Anyway, so as the history and science points out, Cleopatra was Greek, fair-skinned, and portrayed with red hair. So this portrayal of her, back then, this was kind of a hot chick, even though to modern eyes, she looked a little bit chubby. I don't know how old she was doing that. she was Cleopatra was is here's her portrayal with portrayal with red hair, and people have done DNA analysis of kings throughout. I think Egyptian kings, and they say they're closer in DNA to a modern day Englishman than to a modern day Egyptian. So it's like there's no shortage of science and history backing this up, back from when historical analysis before it was completely nerfed by the Bolsheviks, and anything kind of from this point on, from within the past 5 or 10 years, it's all going to be garbage. Like there's nothing you can trust. Like yeah, this is just Hollywood. You don't have to believe it. The thing is, everyone knows how powerful Hollywood is to brainwash kids. It's yeah, there's just really no good solution. And if people, oh, please tell me, point out where how you see a political solution from this going forward. Anyway, so the other issue is that the sub-Saharans are not Egyptian. This level of development was just not what the sub-Saharans were all about. And people hear that and they get triggered. It's not a compliment or an insult. It's just saying that humanity is not fungible. Human tribes are very different in how they build civilization. The default assumption is that the more advanced North is somehow better and they need to appropriate the Greek and Egyptian history for their own. One isn't better or worse. It's like, is a horse better than a goat? It's just, they're just different. They just are. It's like a science professor once told me, because science is, period. You just have to take it. You have to take the results for what they are, and that you're not even getting science anymore, as the events over the past few years have. I did a video on that one for another channel. I got a strike when I did a video talking about the scientific method. Got a strike for talking about the scientific method. Thing is, one isn't better or worse. Different tribes of people. They're just different. Except to the globalists, they have to believe that humans are fungible cogs in a Marxist machine. In fact, they need people to believe that. That's one of their core dogmas. It's asinine. Their narrative must be that I want to go there. If you put you know what I'm gonna skip that. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next episode.